just need to live. So you always can. Don't you know? Burrito.
Yes, we're about 2 weeks shy from my least favorite holiday of the year, Thanksgiving. How you doing? It's your boy Flobo Boyce. This is Wassup Flobo After Hours. We're up here in the treehouse, talking, chatting. This week, I have my favorite beverage now because I'm on air every week. That's that throat coat. Get you some if you can use your voice. But my guest today is fantastic at using your voice, whether it's acting, whether it's singing, or whether it's being a host. I want to make sure I get this is right, because I love my intros. I think my people will love the intros too. Please, well, don't call her Lolo, all right? Because if you don't know, you don't want to call that. Just give it up for Lauren LoGrasso. Hey!
I love that intro. Thank you, Flobo. You can call me Lolo, though. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Lauren Lolo.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm thriving.
Thriving is a good one. You don't get that a lot.
As I told you, it's been a weird day for me here. There's been some major drama in my apartment complex, but we're making it through. And I'm honored to be here with you. That was a cool graphic, so I'm feeling amped up now.
Yeah, we're just hanging out here. It's a little after hours, especially on the East Coast. It's for those of you checking in on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope/Twitter, because people are still on that. And
we're on Periscope right now?
Yeah, we're on Periscope right now. It's only get a live streaming on Twitter. It's 1 o'clock in the morning in the East Coast. So thank you so much for staying up with me as I chat with people who are way cooler than I. Now, I told my friends I was going to have you on my show. You know what they said? Oh
what?
My gosh, what a big get, because she can do it all. She can sing, she can act, sometimes dance if you ask her nicely. And she's a host. I want to know, how do you go about, how many slashes do you have, and in what order do you say that in?
I was once called an ambition hoarder, and while I felt it was a very mean term, hi, Demo. Oh,
Demo's an
Demo, I love you. Gosh, you're a sight for sore eyes. Derek, clap, clap, clap. We want Lolo. Sorry, I was just like can't stop reading them. That's really fun that you see them come through by.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say I am a multi-passionate creative. I prefer that to ambition hoarder. Okay. I love audio the most in general. So I always say audio is the most powerful medium. So whether it is a podcast or a song, telling stories and connecting through voice is my favorite thing, because it is the best way to get the listener or to get the consumer involved creatively.
Yeah.
Have I faded?
I think you dropped out a bit. Is it just me? Is it me or is it you? I can't tell which one that is.
I'm spinning.
All right. Well, I think it's me. Or I think it's you here, Lauren, but it's okay. Just for the time being, we're just going to chat right now. Lauren will be back in just a second as she figures it out. I just want to say, if you have a question for Ms. Lauren LoGrasso, make sure you do it in the chat right now, because I want to be able to ask her the GOAT questions, because it says here in my notes, I want this question answered first, Lauren. It says here in my notes, are you back? Are you? She froze. No. All right. Whatever Haywood Wong say, taking the hat off. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan for life. Lauren LoGrasso will be back in just a second. She's probably going to reset her system. But I like the fact that with this show is we get to interact with gold people from all walks of life. And if you haven't already, if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you do all of that great stuff. Now, for me this week has been pretty crazy. If I know you guys don't really care about me that much, but this week has been pretty nuts. I know it's been the election. It was a big deal. Couple days. We're trying to figure out who was going to lead our country, and our Saturday we have our decision. I don't really necessarily care how you like it. If you like it, you don't like it, that's up to you. What I do like it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, the tension was mounting on both sides of the aisle, and frankly, I'm glad we got a little bit of release. JLJ Media, what's going on? James Lott Jr., it's true. I like technology. Dima, we do care. So look, real quick, while Lauren gets herself situated, this was actually my first ever election. This is the first time that I ever voted. Well, okay, when I ran for public office last year, I voted for me. But like this is the first time I actually voted. Like I got a ballot in the mail and I voted and I watched, and I'm not here to judge you what you pick. I mean, we had our guest last week, John Bowles, who was a staunch supporter of President Kanye, but I think it's cool. This the idea of the process of it all. It's convoluted with electoral college, but we finally have a decisive winner, and that's kind of cool for our country. Maybe we can start doing the healing we keep talking about. Because frankly, what's worse than hate is people thinking they're above it, being like, "Oh man, remember the good old days when we all got along?" Never happened. Never happened. Derek Fisher, that is true. For those of you who don't know, Demo also voted for the first time. That's what's up. It's definitely a milestone for all of us. And Derek Fisher, he picked West. I was going to say, people don't know this, and I mentioned it in a past episode. The current president of the United States, Donald Trump, is actually a WWE Hall of Famer. And he actually got stunned right there on television. So, now that we got that out of the way, I got to ask Miss Lauren LoGrasso. Because I was practicing your name before the show. And the reason being I spent 7 days in Italy. I thought I was
now
Italian
you're frozen for me.
Am I back? Am I back for you?
You're back for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Awesome.
You're practicing my name?
I was practicing your name for about a week because I went to Italy for like 1 week 2 years ago, and I came back gosh. Italian AF. You know what I'm saying? Like
you're my paisan.
Yeah, exactly. I play video games, esports. And my esport name is Novanta, which is
Novanta.
Novanta, Italian for 90. Love the fact about that.
Well, do you know what LoGrasso is Italian for?
Tell me.
The fat.
The fat? Like there were other ones?
The fat. Yeah. So you can imagine what my ancestors looked like. They were living large, literally.
Well, we're just talking a little bit about election week in America. I won't ask who or whom did you vote for because
I voted for Biden.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
People get really offended about that. They're like, why you want to know what I voted for? You know what I'm saying? I did too. And I'm not sure if I voted for Biden or against the other guy.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, like, my dream is to have nobody that's been accused of sexual assault in office. But hey, we'll get there someday.
Yeah. How'd you make
a girl can dream?
Last week must have been crazy for you.
Last week was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think for every American, regardless of how you voted, it was very nerve-wracking. I mean, it's wild that the country is this split. You know, I talked to somebody who is a friend of mine who lives in Canada, and they don't have a two-party system there. They have, she said, 13 or so parties, like 3 that are the main front runners. But she said because they have more parties, they're a lot less likely to engage in this us versus them mentality that we have here. And I think for me, the biggest thing that I've been disturbed by on all sides is the dehumanization of other people depending on what they believe in. And I know that it's tough because one side seems to be filled with a good number of people who want to take rights away from other people just for being born who they are and how they look.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just because somebody dehumanized you doesn't mean you should dehumanize them. I mean, and if that worked, I guess fine, but it doesn't work. And so like my Brene Brown always says, shame is not a social justice tool. And I think that that's like the next reckoning that we really have to deal with in this country is what I call social justice, which is SOULCIAL. And it's the acknowledgement that we're all human beings and we need to get back to seeing each other as such.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my brain is at.
So in the perfect world, you're thinking like multiple parties? Because my theory was always that I'm a firm believer of the two-party system, but I do think the two parties we have are pretty much expired. Like how we got rid of the Whigs and the Federalists and all those things back then, you can get rid of these two and build two strong ones. But having multiple parties could be a good theory as well.
I always believed in the two-party system too until I heard her say that, and I thought there's wisdom there because right now it does feel like we're in a pressure cooker. And each side thinks they're absolutely right. And if there were 13 parties that we were dispersing that intense feeling through, it wouldn't be as intense.
Right. How did you watch all the CNN trackers? Did you do a little bingo card in the house? Like, did you?
No, I was just Googling it frantically. I when I finally turned on the TV was when it was announced. And the news was broken to me by my mom, which was really nice. She
Yeah.
called me crying and said, "Hey, Biden won," and we cried together and did a little family FaceTime, and yeah, it was a tender moment.
Is your mom out here or she's back in the Midwest?
She's in Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, Detroit was a hero a couple days, right? From
I
Michigan.
know, I know. Yeah, both of my parents are in Detroit, holding down the vote over there. They're in the suburbs, but the suburb I'm actually from, which used to be like a pretty conservative place, actually went blue, which I'm so proud of. So
Yeah.
it's showing me that they're really growing with the times, and you know,
So, as someone as a multi hyphenate as yourself, I mean, and coming from the Midwest, how has your upbringing influenced the way you approach your craft? Just as a curious craft person to craft person.
yes, I think work ethic is number one. People in the Midwest, because we have to brave the elements, in college, I know a lot of people say this, but really, I did have to walk through the snow and the rain to get to class, sometimes a few miles. You have to want it that much more when you have to scrape your car off or walk through the snow just in order to get to where you want to go physically. And so I think that having that work ethic, also like the kindness, the doing what you say you're going to do, just the true blue spirit of the Midwest attitude, I think has influenced everything I do. And Detroit for sure has influenced everything I do. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, as I mentioned. My grandfather immigrated to the United States from Italy, came over on Ellis Island, worked in the Ford plant. So like that kind of hard working, like working class mentality, I think is really my dad's first generation. So passed on to me. Like we're all like workhorses, which I'm now realizing there's this great page called Nap Ministry on Instagram.
Okay.
I am realizing that like, yes, a work ethic is a great thing, but also like that is part of like they say that is part of like white supremacy, and the patriarchy is like telling us we can never stop working. And she says like her statement is like rest is resistance. And so I'm starting to realize that while I love working, never allowing myself to rest isn't actually beneficial, because you do better work when you do allow yourself to rest. So anyway, I'm unpacking. I'm going a little deeper into this question than you actually wanted me to.
I love it. It's all good. When's the last time you've been in a situation and someone's like, what do you think? You're like, I'm from Detroit. Like, I feel like that's one of the few cities you can still like use that as a trump card. Like I'm from Brooklyn. Like I'm from Detroit.
I think I tell someone I'm from Michigan any chance I get. I'm like a Michigan publicity person. I'm just really, really proud to be from there. Hi, James.
They are loving the chat.
Oh my
like,
gosh, friend.
Lauren for president. Like, what is going on? I wasn't about to think about me by myself. No, I'm just kidding.
Give Flobo some love.
Yeah,
this show. Show him some respect.
I'm there fishing for compliments. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I tell people I'm from Detroit. I'm from Michigan any chance I get, because I really am so proud. I mean, even now I've been here for 9 years and I still say I'm from Michigan. I will always be from there. I live here, and this is a home too for me, because I did spend 4.5 months of the quarantine back home, basically re-entering the womb, and it was, in a word, exquisite.
What a mental image.
It was wonderful to be in there again. I didn't realize like how hard life here has been on my own.
Yeah.
It's treacherous. We're not meant to live this way. Like if you had a good family life growing up, living away from your family is very unnatural. So I'm very proud to be from there. I'm very proud to be my parents' daughter. And yeah, I tell people I'm from Michigan, I'm from Detroit whenever they give me the opportunity. And if they don't, I make an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, has quarantine, I'm sure it's changed because it came out of nowhere. And it makes 2020 the shortest and longest year of all time. But I mean, day to day or week to week or project to project, what's the biggest fundamental shift pre-pandemic and now during, post? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. So this idea that I was talking about with work has definitely been a big thing. I realized that these past 9 years, and really like since I was in college, because in college is when this hustle culture started to really internalize in me. I would go from like 8 a.m. until sometimes 2 a.m. working like pretty much straight through, maybe with an hour break here and there. And what I realized this quarantine and in being with my parents is that my personal dreams are just as important to me as my career dreams are. And I've just been assuming this whole time that they'll just fall into place.
Right.
And I really want to prioritize my personal dreams, such as finding a loving relationship, having a child, owning a home. And I know that's kind of in the career, but it's still personal. Traveling, enjoying life, like taking time to be with friends, cultivating hobbies. Like I never let myself have a hobby that didn't turn into a job before. And even though I love dancing, that's my hobby, and part of me wants to make it a job, I know I can't, so it's good. I've like pretty much every night since I've been in LA since August, I've been dancing and just like doing it because I love it, not for any other reason than I love it. So I think the biggest takeaway,
like ballroom, like
I mean, by myself, Flobo.
I don't know if you like a certain style, if you like voguing, I don't know.
No, my certain style is just interpretive, like whatever the music calls for. I mean, I videotape myself almost every night, but I usually dance in my underwear, and I'm like, I would love to be one of those people that's bold enough to post it. Someday I will be. I'm getting there. But that's been a big takeaway for me is my personal dreams are just as important as my career dreams, and I need to start prioritizing those.
Yeah, prioritizing. That's what I'm talking about. I should probably do that myself.
How about for you? What's been your biggest takeaway?
I'm not sure if I say this on this show, because I think I say it almost every day. But I think last December is when I first started doing like this. I hate saying digital content because I kind of feels like I'm doing things. I like personally, I say content to make it easier for people to understand. But like shows and programming has been the world to me. Like this chat here, there's 7 people here at 10 p.m. in the West Coast listening to me. What 7 is very, very small compared to 7 billion people. But really, they made time to listen to me talk. And it's not just this show. I'm on air 7 days a week. You know what I mean? If you're into esports, I'm on the weekends. I'm into pop culture stuff, wrestling, all that stuff. So that being able to do that has been the dream. To wake up with a brand in my name, to work on content that people can enjoy, whether it's my podcast we'll get into and stuff, this shows like this, that has been the dream. But of course, because of the pandemic and how everyone's pretty much on the hatches, I wonder how viable that is for a career. But it's cool to say I have a studio in my own apartment, which is
very
surreal.
cool.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think it is viable for a career. It's just finding what your niche will be and getting it to the right people. And that's like a constant whittling away.
Yeah. Before I get to the seriousness of your podcast, I got a question. Lauren, I've been doing some research about you. There's some things I have on my brain. Well, first of all, hey, what? I'm not Jamaican. Okay, this is actually a point of contention for me. My parents are from Barbados, so I am Bayesian American. People call me Jamaican all the time. This is why when I was a kid, I would say I'm Caribbean. But now I'm of the age to say pre-Rihanna. Okay. So anyway.
Yeah. Put some respect on the Bayesian people, please.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. Question for you. You interviewed DJ Khaled?
I did.
What? And another one. Tell me about this.
So this is actually a Detroit connection. A friend of mine that I was in freshman year journalism class with at Michigan State University, shout out to Go Green, Go White.
Yeah.
He worked at Ford in the advertising department, and he was working with this new car, the EcoSport, and was like, hey, I know that you work at AfterBuzz TV. I would love to let you have an interview. So I was one of 2 people in all of LA that got to interview DJ Khaled about this car. And that was like the first, really like one of the first interviews I did, but definitely the first big interview I did. I was scared out of my mind. Right. I met with I have a radio coach. Her name's Valerie Geller. She's amazing. I met with her before, and she helped me write up the intro, and it went super viral, in part because I guess my skirt was way shorter than I realized. So a lot of people
that's
90
the worst, girlfriend.
Honestly, 70% of the comment sections, that girl and her legs, either people are wow, look at her legs, or some people are put your legs away. Why aren't you wearing pants?
Put your legs away in a box? What?
I mean, definitely. I should have worn a leg box. That would have been the move.
Sorry, go ahead. Put your legs
No,
away.
but some people also commented that they liked the interview. Actually, I know you've got a lot of wrestling fans. Some people said that I reminded them of Stephanie McMahon, which I thought was interesting. Like I've never
I can see that
never
now.
thought that about
Yeah.
myself, but big compliment.
brand.
I'd love to have
Yeah.
her success.
Chief brand officer of WWE. That I totally see that now. Now it's funny because we have a bunch of mutual friends, like a lot of mutual friends. But I discovered your brand just a couple months ago, like literally a couple months ago. Did you freeze? Did you freeze again? Oh, you're
I'm back.
Cool.
I see
Cool, cool.
myself.
So it was a mutual friend. Phil Svitek had a movie called
Yes.
Idol, which I enjoyed. Definitely there's some things I was a little confused about because I went to public school. But I will say your character stole the show. I was like, I have all the characters in this film, I believe Jane the most. Now walk me through this. How did that look like getting the call from Phil being like, you want to be in a movie or this movie? And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Was like, let me see a script. Did you have an agent? Like, what was the deal behind that?
Phil just called me and said, I want to put you in my movie. And I said, yeah. He's like, I'm writing a part for you. I want you to be in my movie. I was really excited because I love acting. I moved here to act. I got a BFA in acting, a BA in communication from Michigan State. So that was my intention when I moved here. Everything else that happened was a really happy accident. I say you have to be aware of the dreams you find on the way to your dreams because a lot of times they're even more powerful than your original intention. But I always still want to act. It's just the acting business broke my heart and I couldn't. Well, yeah, because it's like I came here so earnest and so ready and so excited. And I just went on all these sad, weird auditions. My first agent that I had here, I got, okay, so let me backtrack a bit. I came here to do an internship. The last week of the internship, I booked my first ever acting role. It was in a huge, beautiful, big film at Hollywood Center Studios. I had my own dressing room. It was like a one-day shoot because they were doing it kind of like to see if they could get funding for it, but it still felt very legit. Like I had a costumer, I had a makeup artist, everything felt like it was going into place. So that was right before Christmas. I went home for Christmas. As I'm like back home in Detroit, I'm like, I'm going to go back there and be a star. Like clearly everything's coming up roses for me. I'm just going to like go back, get a quick sitcom on the WB lot, and I'll be set. I came back and it was Cricketsville, USA. But that casting director that did cast me in that film really took a liking to me. And so he introduced me to a bunch of agents. Well, the one that ended up taking me on was a real treat. And the first time she set a meeting with me, she canceled the meeting because, and this is a quote, a goat on my property broke a water line. So I'll have to cancel our meeting.
An actual goat? Or is that cove or something?
Oh, an actual goat. And I'm like, am I getting punked right now? Like, is this Green Acres? What's happening?
Yeah.
So I wrote her back. I'm like, but I was so earnest and so excited and so desiring to have somebody to believe in me and represent me that I wrote her back. I'm like, I hope you figure out all your goat problems.
Wow. Well, also being thorough. Yeah.
I mean, 100%. So anyway, we ended up rescheduling. She took me on. She's like, I'm not going to sign you, but like I'll hip pocket you, which basically means I'll submit you for things. And then once you book something, then we'll sign. Well, a guy who was in my acting class at the time had the same agent. Her name was Diane. And about 3 months into this, I hadn't gotten any auditions. He comes up to me and he's like, crazy about Diane, right? And I'm like, yeah, what? And he goes, you know, she left town. And I go, she left town? Well, she didn't tell me. So she left town, therefore dropping me without telling me. So that it was a lot of experiences like that where it's just roadblock after roadblock.
Like,
so
left
anyway,
the business completely.
Left the business, left town, took the goats.
Yeah, of course. Why would you goes behind? I'm walking up Cahuenga Boulevard. Meh. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. So, it was like a lot of those situations. So I started writing music because acting broke my heart and music healed it. And then I had done broadcasting in college. I had my own radio show and stuff, but I really got into it and like made it a dream because when I would drive to these music shows, I would be listening to Sirius XM radio and thinking, I want to work at Sirius XM someday. I want to work at Sirius XM. Well, it was Cosmo Radio. And it no longer exists. R.I.P. RIP. But But anyway, so that's what I mean when I say it broke my heart. But I never lost the love for acting. That is still one of my greatest passions.
Yeah.
I just realized at a certain point that I was going to have to take a long way around. So when Phil offered me this opportunity, first of all, I trust Phil with basically anything in my life, and also I take any opportunity I can to act, especially if it's like a lead part and something I'm also going to get to bring my music to. So it was just a golden chance. And I was, I still remember when you sent me that message, and it meant so much to me because I wasn't sure if I still had it. It had been so long since I'd been in a big major part, and it was really affirming to get that. So thank you for taking the time to reach out to me and give me that wonderful compliment.
Oh no! You know what I realized about doing the creative thing is, and that's something I'm working on too, because I'm one of the few people apparently on the planet that has resolutions. Is if you're moved positively, let people know. I mean, the movie was good because Phil told me to watch it, and of course you support your buddy. You're like, okay, that was pretty good. Like, let's be real. When your buddy tells you to do something or buy a shirt or wear some soaps or whatever, there's a little intimidation. I don't know why that is. We just have it. Like, I don't know. But the movie was good, but because you come pretty much late in that other half of the movie, I was like, it's almost like the emotional core that you did so much acting with just your face. You know what I mean? To talk about the instrument, but I was like, oh my goodness, I was like, I got to be in the Lauren business. So I was like, man, let me say this respectfully. I don't think I'm a creeper, and follow you on social media. And you should do it too. Where do people follow you or not? Because I know Derek was asking this in the chat. You're at Lauren.
At Lauren LoGrasso. Yeah, okay. I should have put that in the little thing here. I didn't think of that.
Not a problem.
I was like, let me just put my full name.
What is there going to be a sequel? Like, what's the next thing you're working on?
With Idol?
Oh, with acting, I guess.
Oh, with acting? Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I love acting. I want to start doing sketches on my thing. I mean, I think about making a reel on Instagram every single day, but then I get scared because it feels like people put so much energy and thought into them. And I want to do it. And I don't like putting anything out unless I would watch it if I wasn't me. And so I want to do it really well. But I feel like I don't have time to like master the art of reels right now. So yeah, the next goal would be to like do some sketches, do more films. Would love to be on TV. My dream has always been to be on a sitcom when it comes to acting. So if anyone knows anyone, if you're watching, hire me, baby. I'm here.
The dream. I actually want to follow up with a question about that. But Dima has a question. She asks, being that you're a singer, how have you remained true to yourself when the music industry pressures artists to change?
Well, here's the deal. This is a double-edged sword. Because I'm an independent musician, and because, to be completely honest with you, everything I've ever had happen to me in music has come as a result of me versus a manager or a label. I haven't been that pressured to change. The change that I have gone through as an artist has been welcomed. I've become a much better singer because I've had really great teachers.
We're there.
Away.
Okay, you're back. I think you're back. Oh no, I think we're having some more Wi-Fi issues there.
Oh.
Well, it seems that you didn't have to change that much. Wait, I think you're back. Well, it seems like you didn't have to change that much, which is a good thing. Just to answer Dima's question, and you've been fortunate enough to.
Yeah, so it's like it's a double-edged sword. Can you hear me, by the way, right now? Okay, so it's a double-edged sword because like being a independent artist is great because you can basically do whatever you want. At the same time, you don't have the support that somebody who is like a Katy Perry would have. So if a major label wanted to sign me and like not ask me to sell my soul, I would definitely consider it because there is something to be said for exposure. And I know I have so many amazing songs, especially the ones I've recently written that I haven't released yet. And I want people to hear them. And right now it's like, please, if you could do one thing for me, please follow me on Spotify. I'm Lauren LoGrasso on Spotify. I really need to build up my following there because I just really want and need people to hear these songs that I poured my heart and soul into. So yeah, I haven't luckily been asked to change that much, but I would welcome certain changes if it didn't mess with my integrity as a person or an artist.
So what would you say is a genre of music that you focus on, or you kind of just do like a hodgepodge or a homage to different things?
Yeah, I feel like whatever comes out is what I write, but I've been described as like a hybrid between Lady Gaga, because like my voice is pretty strong, like amped up strong.
Right.
Bishop Briggs, she's not an independent artist, but she's like a lesser known artist, but really cool, badass woman. And I think like every female singer-songwriter I've ever listened to, so like Fiona Apple, Ingrid Michaelson, Sarah Bareilles, kind of all like smushed together. And it's it's like soul meets pop meets blues meets rock meets sometimes a little folk. And I'm definitely very influenced by Motown and Billy Joel, weirdly. He was like the first person that made me really want to write music.
That's cool, man. I can't wait for your Vegas show. I thought you'll give me the entire songbook. That's as I saw Boyce II Men in Vegas. I thought it'd be an R&B show, but they do everything. You're like, what?
They're so talented. They're amazing.
Yeah. Oh man. Demo Katabi asked me, what am I sipping on? I have two kinds. It's tea. I think this is throat coat. I'm doing throat coat today because I did esports yesterday. I was commenting Rocket League, and it's a very high paced game, so got a little bit of that rasp in there.
Can I show you something?
What's that?
These are like the best thing for a sore throat. And it's what's in throat coat. It's called Slippery Elm lozenges.
Okay.
I just saw them. They happen to be the side. So if anybody has a sore throat,
Tip.
these things.
I feel like I'm going to add, after a long day of commentating, I use Slippery Elm. No, but seriously, I feel it now. And again, it's the good, like, I worked, you know? It's not me using a hammer out in the quarry anyway. It's me, you know, projecting my voice or whatever. But that's pretty awesome. That you're so astute and knowing who you are and trying to grow who you are without compromising that. Well, I guess the next extension of that is your podcast, Unleash Your Inner Creative. Talk to me about this because I also have a podcast for creatives, so I'm so about this. Tell me more about your show.
So the show is ultimately a show about becoming more creative and self-actualizing, or really like owning the fullness of who you are and stepping into it. The tagline I always say at the beginning of the show is, the goal for the show is to help you make creativity the filter for your life, redefine your relationship with fear by taking it out of the driver's seat, step more fully into the essence of who you are, and claim your right to have a dream and take up space. I started it because I realized that repressed creativity is the cause of so much of the world's suffering. I've seen so many people grow depressed over not putting their work out there, or not really. It comes down to being who they really are, which is in and of itself creativity. Right. The other thing is, in 50 years and probably sooner, especially due to the way things are now, 80% of all jobs are going to require creativity. It's one of the few things that AI can't replicate. So it's not only like this woo-woo thing to help us be ourselves, literally. It's also a really necessary life skill to be financially viable in the future. So I interview all kinds of amazing creatives. I've also been getting into like more friendship chat where I'll have on creatives that are my friends and we'll talk about some particular creative struggle. I do pretty much weekly creative check-ins where I give one creative revelation I've had in the past week, how I came to it, and how you can use it in your life. So it's like a self. And
I think we dropped out again a little bit. Okay, well, it's weird because I can hear you coming back in and out, so I'm not sure if you're coming back. So I don't want to like stomp or trample over you.
You're out.
Okay, but it does sound like at least your inner creative is going to be growing. I mean, there's the show itself, there's the check-ins that you were saying. I mean, is there anything that you would love to do for that brand? Can I say brand? Does the brand apply here? I think we have some technical difficulty issues, but that's the way technology is, man. I totally get it. I know a couple weeks ago I was frozen a bit, and I didn't realize that until like after I watched my show that I was a frozen one. So it's always weird when that happens, but that's part of the nature of the business here. I think you're back. You're back.
Am I here?
Yes, I think you're here.
I kept saying, "Am I a ghost? Am I here?"
You're real to me, Lauren. You're real to me.
This is so annoying, though. What am I paying the extra $20 a month for if this is happening? I'm gonna sue Spectrum.
Oh, get in line. Everyone, ain't nobody like Spectrum. I don't know why. I haven't. One time, this is actually a true story. So when the quarantine first hit, I was like, man, my network sucks. I'm getting like 10 down, right? And I'm paying $70 a month. So I called Spectrum. I'm like, hey, what the hell? And they tell me, oh, look at your account, sir. Your wireless account is on the Time Warner grid. We merged with them. And I was like, that sounds like a you problem. Why can't you just?
Oh, you want to know what they did to me? So
Yeah.
I upgraded this thing, but prior to that, I was getting really bad internet. Like this is actually the improvement, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I called them and I'm like, why does it keep dropping out? Like even Zooms were dropping out. And they said, oh, well, your box only allows a speed of 100 and you're paying for a speed of 200. And I go, how long has this been going on for? Why did no one? So I've been paying for 100 more than I'm even capable of getting. They're like, yeah. They're like, we can give you a $25 credit. I'm like, this has been, they told me it had probably been happening for 2 or 3 years. They're like, yeah, $25 credit. So my goal now is I'm going to hunt down the CEO on LinkedIn and just tell him he needs to pay me hundreds of dollars, if not thousands.
I was going to say, oh my gosh, that's bold. I was like, you know what? Why not? Because ain't no one's like, you know what, Spectrum was the best decision I ever had. Demo has another question for you. I'm glad that she asked this question, not me. She says, Lauren had an IG story about on dating apps. What is she looking for in a guy?
I'm looking for a true partner, somebody who is doing the emotional and spiritual development work, whether that's through therapy or reading or meditating, but somebody who's really working on themselves, someone who's an excellent communicator, somebody who is heart-centered, family-oriented, interested and interesting, curious, empathetic, compassionate, loving. I'm really looking for somebody who I don't have to say I love you, but with. I've never been in a relationship where I didn't have major reservation. And I'm not talking about, oh, you didn't take out the trash. I'm talking about like big things, big recurring issues that keep coming up. I'm looking for somebody who is kind and who's like a true equal. And I've never sought that out. I think in the past, I've always picked people that I knew would be easy for me in some way.
Define easy. I'm just define what like easy.
Easy
like,
means like,
or?
To be completely honest, and I know this sounds bad, but that I knew I was better than in some way, that I knew I could be like the clear leader. I don't want that in this relationship, this next one. I want to be equals or even potentially like look up to my partner. I want to learn and I want to be put in my place sometimes. And I want it to be a partnership. I think my past relationships have been really codependent. I've done a tremendous amount of work on myself in this past year since my breakup. And I've really learned to love myself and see myself accurately for all the beauty and all of the pain and all of the mess and all the awesomeness. And so I'm really looking for somebody who can hold all that I am and for being able to do that for someone else. And of course, like the physical attraction matters too. But people ask me like, what's your type? I truly don't have one.
Yeah, neither do I.
I've kind of dated like every flavor of the rainbow and I'm still really open. Like, when
flavor.
Yes, men flavor. But you're still like when you're in someone's presence, you can tell if you have that kind of like chemical, physical connection. So that has to be there, but I won't know until I'm, in the room.
True. I used to be naive, and I thought like, oh man, attraction doesn't matter. It totally does. No, it
totally matters. I want it to also be. I mean, a big thing too, and I know that this is awkward, so I'm bringing it up, so I don't want you to feel awkward about it. But like a big thing too that I've been working through this year is my relationship to sexuality, because I don't know, I've studied this at all, but creativity and sexuality are in the same energy center in the body. It's the root chakra.
Oh, okay.
And so if you're disconnected from your sexuality or you're shunning it in some way, you're not embracing your full creativity. And so something I've really been working on embracing is the fact that I'm a sexual being and getting in touch with what that means for me, talking about it more. I think I was afraid my whole life to talk about it, growing up Catholic, being in like a pretty traditional Italian family, and having parents that were kind of repressed in that way. I was always afraid to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gone. Am I back?
You're back. You're back. But I don't want to. I don't want to talk over you. I think we hit a very nice mark as far as opening up about that kind of aspect of the creative link to sexuality. Because you'll notice even historically, like we will talk about the ancient religions and the guys. I am not the smartest guy in the world, but the ancient religions will always use to link some of their cabals with the sexual activity because the mind does open up if you have the right partner in the right position, that sort of thing. You know. Okay, I think Lauren is gone, man. I think she's frozen. Unfortunately, yeah. Haywood Wong. So Derek Fisher said, "Please don't pause." He said he jinxed it, but you did not jinx it, Lauren. Look, it's just jinx it, Derek. It's just the nature of the beast here. Like I said, Wi-Fi can affect us all. It can impart us all, so it's all good. And JLJ Media agree with you. Sexuality, creativity are connected. It's funny how there's different ways to interpret that. Like we say things like
Am I
the
here?
muse. Oh, Lauren, you're back, baby. What's up?
I said, "Am I here? Am I gone?
Yeah,
Should I
JLJ
turn off
Media
my Wi-Fi
says,
again and come back?"
yeah, we got 20 minutes here hanging out in this free period.
Well, no, if it's working, maybe I'll just let it go.
Okay, I just want you to finish your point though, because the chat was really about what you were saying. You hit like the drop.
They were loving it. They were loving it. No, I was just saying, I had to come to church. I actually had to talk to my parents about it because it's something I've been afraid to talk about or talk about it on air or in a song. I would feel so embarrassed and so ashamed and shameful. And I had to finally sit my parents down and be like, listen, I love you, but I have to start being myself. And this is part of who I am. And so I'm going to start talking about it. And I've been afraid to talk about it my whole life because I never wanted to bring shame to you. And I never wanted to make you feel like, I wasn't good. I wasn't a good girl. But in doing that, I've actually excommunicated parts of myself. And so I'm going to start talking about it because I need to. And I know I'm just going to be waiting for, the priests in the family to send me a letter of resignation to the Catholic Church to tell me to send a letter. But, I have to do it because if I don't, I'm not being authentic and I'm not going to be as good of an artist as I could be. And, my parents were, to their credit, amazing. They said, you have to do what you have to do. We are proud of you. You could never bring shame to us. We love you. And like whatever baggage we have with that, that's our own. But you talk about it. You be yourself, step into that. And we fully support you. So that was wonderful. And since we've had that conversation, since I've opened myself up to it more, I'll tell you what, Flobo, the songs are flowing out of me like a fountain.
Yeah. The divine feminine, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
Is there, when having that conversation with your parents and saying, look, this is who I am. I've lived on this planet long enough to know what I want out of life and what I think my whole being is. And they give you the green light, which is weird because we're adults and it shouldn't matter, but they give the green light.
I know.
Was there a bit of like elation? Was it relief? Was it a business deal handshake? What was
I cried.
Yeah.
I cried because I felt like, oh, now I'm like fully accepted and I can actually start stepping into who I really am. Like that's been a big part of this year. So it's been like the personal dreams and then also starting to fully acknowledge all the parts, like not trying to escape any piece of myself. And it's been really painful at times. Like I've gotten to know myself better this year than I ever thought I would or ever wanted to. But going back to Demo's original question, now when I'm entering a relationship, I can really bring my full self to the table and own my shit and own my beauty and just like be present with it all and not project it onto someone else. Or if I do, take accountability for it and say, this is probably happening because of ... Yeah. So yeah, I'm super grateful for it. And I'm excited to be fully present in a relationship sexually too, because I think that has always been something I've held myself back from. And I haven't been vulnerable in that way because I was scared of what that would mean if I was.
Right. Personal question, don't have to answer this one. When you think about the things you love about yourself, what usually comes to mind first? Is it your form? Is it your emotional outlook? Is it your attitude?
I think I love that I love people and I really believe in people. Like I'm genuinely hopeful about humanity. I
Yeah.
really am. I think people are beautiful. I think that we have the absolute capacity to change. Um, Outside of maybe some sociopaths and murderers, I think that everybody really has the capacity to change and to become empathetic and to learn empathy and to learn compassion.
Yeah.
And I think that the other thing, yeah, is that exact same thing, is that I use optimism as a coping tool, but I'm not blindly optimistic. I believe in something I call angsty optimism, which is believing the best possible thing is going to happen, but acknowledging the pain along the way. And I'm just grateful that I love, despite I have been through a lot of pain. I have been really hurt by a lot of people, but I still continue to lead my life with love and assume the best in people. I start people out at an A+.
Yeah.
I don't start them out at an F and make them work their way up. I assume the best in people. And I've honed the skill of starting to see when somebody maybe doesn't deserve an A+. I used to just give everyone an A+ no matter how much they beat me up.
Yeah.
Now I have a more discerning eye, but I'm really proud that I still, despite what I've been through, and probably even because of what I've been through, lead with love.
Lead with love, and hopefully I wish you the best. And I'm sure that everything's come together. I've heard the thing about magnetism. Once you are aware of your shortcomings and things you worked on, and it all comes together. I guess maybe I've never been on that self-actualizing scale, but I think the mentality on my end is pretty different. I'm not feeling myself. I think of myself as an iPod. Take myself off the market, upgrade, get a new case, do some more storage, back on the market with the ladies. So I totally understand that. And it takes a lot. It really takes a lot to take yourself out the game, whether pandemic or our side, and assess what's working, what's not, what is the block there. Because you can blame the things. People do all the time. Oh, I would love to write, but this show is on TV. Or I would love to find someone, but there's no one in this bar.
Well, yeah, and that's what I always say. It's like people in LA are constantly complaining about dating. I think I literally wrote a tweet once. It was like, what if all the people in LA who complain about dating dated each other?
Sitting there miserable.
Maybe you find out you're not so great yourself, you little asshole.
Wow, savage.
But you know what I mean? It's like if you're looking for bad, you're going to find it. You'll find endless bad. But I also believe if you're looking for good, yeah, maybe you'll find some bad. That's going to happen. Life sometimes sucks. But you're also going to find the good eventually. So we need to change our vision and our purpose when we go into things. I don't know.
That's definitely true. Okay, so maybe you could help me out, because I had a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. His name was Jim Alexander, one of the most controversial guests we ever had about the dating pool. Let's make this even more awkward, because you went there. I feel like I should be as awkward as you are. If you're in the water,
I don't feel awkward. I feel honest.
Oh, I mean, help me be honest too. Don't be all honest by yourself.
I want you to.
Here my lies.
Come on.
So
join.
So I look at the data. Most of my followers tend to be 25 or 34-year-old males and single. Is there anything the guys, anything the dude, any way the male form we can do to upgrade ourselves, to open our chakras up for our own companions out here this time of the year?
Okay, well, open your chakras up is a great question, and I'm going to get to that. But before we get to the chakras, because that might be a little bit more complicated, I start you out with something so simple that makes such a big difference to women, and I think just humans in general.
Showering,
number 1. Number 2, communicate. Please, guys, it's all we want. We just want you to use your words. And I know that seems so small, but here's a perfect example. Recently, I had a little canoodling fest with a friend. And this was unexpected. It was exciting. It was the first time I've had a crush on someone since I was like literally 23. It was very cool. And I wrote him basically saying that I'd like to get together again in a romantic way. You know how on an iPhone you can love something?
Ooh.
He loved it and said nothing. Loved it and said nothing. So in my he had rejected me because that was like the most lukewarm response I could ever think of. Now, I'm the kind of person that uses 15 exclamation marks and 5 emojis. So you have to know when you're communicating with me, you need to at least give me like a yes.
Yeah. Hunky
So
dory.
so anyway, long story short, he is a friend. So I did find out that he actually did want to get together again. And I go, are you kidding me? I'm like, I was very clear, very direct with you. You loved it and said nothing. He's like, well, what was I supposed to say? Yes, I want to too. I'm like, yeah, that would have been great. So that's just like number one simple, easy thing that you can do. Communicate. Tell her how you feel. I know it's scary to get vulnerable in that way. I really do. Like, it's terrifying for me, but we got to do it because it's the only way we're going to connect, or else we just keep missing each other. So that's number one. And also, like, another simple thing with communicating is if she asks you a multi-layered question or sends you a multi-layered thing. So, like, let's say, Flobo, you said, like, how's your day? And I said, my day is going great. I woke up and had an amazing coffee. Then I walked to the store and I came back and I like had this kind of like complicated thing happen with work, but it turned out to be okay. And I just bought a puppy. Like, if you responded to each of those little actions, that really shows me you care because you're paying attention to each little thing I say, listening and responding, and then giving me your take on it. Also asking questions. So at the end of it, at the end of a statement, like asking somebody how they're doing, or asking if they ask you what your favorite color is, ask what their favorite color is. Reciprocation, these small things show us that you care, show us that you're listening, show us you're attentive, you're respect.
Yeah. You're driving out of. Look, basically all you're doing, Lauren, is proving that I'm a catch. That's what I'm saying. I communicate all the time. I over communicate all I want to. No,
Am I back?
You're back. You're back.
Okay, so let's get to the chakras.
Okay. Chakras.
I'm so curious to see how this actually turns out. Am I just like freezing like
Yeah, sometimes you got some cool face actions in there.
Keep the people guessing. So the chakras, there's many different ways to do that. You can do Reiki, which is like somebody else doing energy healing on you. I've done this incredible meditation called the meditation by Wayne Dyer, where basically you picture yourself like pulling up energy through your root chakra, the chakra of sexuality and creativity, and going out through your third eye. It's incredible for manifestation. I've used it to get new jobs. I've used it to get raises. It's always worked. It's been a matter of time, but it's always worked. Highly recommend that. Just type in meditation Wayne Dyer, but you can use that for a relationship too. The last time it worked was I did it like night of a full moon. I think it was in July. And I was like, I really want my podcast to grow. I really want it to be seen by more people. The next morning I woke up and it was nominated for a People's Choice Podcast Award.
Whoa.
So I'm not saying it's magic, but it's kind of magic. So try that one. I would say yoga really helps in like getting yourself more emotionally open. Doing any sort of creative thing really helps in getting yourself emotionally open. Therapy, I cannot say it enough. I know it's scary. Like where I'm from in the Midwest, especially in Italian culture, it's not something we talk about. It's not something we do. I went to my mom when I was 15 and I'm like, Mom, I really think I should be in therapy. And she's like, oh, really? And then I didn't actually do it. And I didn't get to be in therapy till I was 22. So do therapy if you can afford it. If you can't, there's lots of other options. Like there's BetterHelp now. There's people who like are trying to get their hours and charge very little and sometimes even nothing. I said meditation. Going on walks even like helps you get more emotionally available. Read. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Any of Brene Brown's books are excellent. Think and Grow.
I think you were saying Think and Grow Rich, which is also a classic book. I agree. But I do think that was dope knowledge there dropped by Lauren.
Am I back?
I think you're back. We're back. Hey man, it's true. Oh, for those of you who listen to the Wassup Flobo After Hours on the audio only version, this is the drawback of having video calls. That's all good. We're sitting here, we're talking. This is all raw with Lauren LoGrasso because apparently she proved to me without even knowing that I'm a cat because I communicate all the time. I communicate left and right. I open up chakras. I suck at yoga. I'm terrible at it, but I do it anyway. You know, but there's one more thing before we get out of here, though. I know you mentioned a couple books for the guys to learn. What was like the most influential book you read over the last year or last 2 years or so?
Well, that one I mentioned, Man's Search for Meaning, is the most influential book I've ever read in my life. It's about a guy who survived Auschwitz. But the reason it was influential to me was because I have often throughout the course of my life been like, I'll be happy when I get blank. I'll be happy when I do this. If I do this, I'm a good person. So I would equate my worth as a human being with things that were outside of me or titles that were outside of me. And there's this scene that he depicts in the book where he walks into the concentration camp and they're like stripping everyone naked and shaving their head and doing all the terrible things that they did. And he has this manuscript that he's been working on for years. It's like his life's work. He's a psychiatrist. And he says, please, please don't take my manuscript. Like, this is my life's work. They took it and they threw it in the fire. And he said, in that moment, I realized I was not a doctor. He goes like through this list of things he wasn't anymore. He's like, all I was my love for my wife, my children, my relationship with God, and myself. And that's an extreme example of that. But it made me realize that like me equating myself with what I do instead of who I am and my relationship with God and like how I love is never going to lead me to happiness. Like the only thing that can ever lead us to maybe not happiness, but joy and peace is by finding our essence, finding our meaning in who we are, our spiritual connection, and how we love in the world. So I highly recommend that one. Really important, especially for the times we're in when so many things have been taken away from us, and important going forward and finding connections within humanity.
I am a firm believer in that, devoting yourself to not your job, but to your work. And following up with that as well. I've learned so much about not necessarily like you as a person or you as a creative, but definitely like you as an energy. You know what I'm saying? Like it does come through. And now going back to that scene in Idol, it was almost like you were just yourself. Like you just have that kind of vibe. It just works on screen. I want to know more. The chat is going for. They want us to do a sequel on my podcast.
Oh,
New Amsterdam
please!
Radio. We're talking like we drill deep into the creative side of things. And also, please come back for that. Or come back here and Wassup Flobo After Hours. It's all good. About time to get out of here because it's late and I'm old. Can you do the world a favor and tell them where they can find you or stalk you or like sign up for all your stuff online, newsletters, like Spotify, all that stuff?
Absolutely. So I'm at Lauren LoGrasso everywhere. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok too. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook.
Wait, hold on. You're on TikTok, but you're afraid of reels? Or you don't do reels? Oh no, I froze there. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to freeze her again. I'm sorry. Come back and close the show out. Lauren!
You froze.
Oh, okay. Well, it's about time we get out of here for real. At Lauren LoGrasso. So much fun. Come on back. It's the way it happens sometimes. You know what I mean? Wait. I think we're back. Okay. I was going to say.
I kept waving like this.
You're on TikTok, but Reels is something you don't do.
Yeah, because TikTok seems easier to me. So anyway, we'll talk about it later. Okay. And then my podcast is Unleash Your Inner Creative. Please go follow it. Give it 5 stars. Just subscribe, rate, review. Subscribe, rate, and review for Flobo Show as well. And please download all my music on
Spotify. We can. It's about time to get out of here. It's all good. Hey, yo, thank you so much for checking out Wassup Flobo After Hours. It's available on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch every single Monday night at 10 p.m. Pacific, and the audio versions due the next day. I'll be back here on Thursday with other shows in the canon. We're talking about Draped in Gold at drapedingold.com, New Amsterdam Radio, new episodes every Thursday, and the Everything Tournament. But until next time, catch you later.
The better still the land.